Wanted to take some time to share about
Well, no, first, wish you a happy first day of spring.
sure, yes. Happy first day of spring, friends.
Yeah, it's a very springy day today.
Yes, it is. Today's a really special day for us because not only is it the first day of spring, and it is also our anniversary.
Hmm.
And our anniversary isn't on March 19th. Our anniversary is on the first day of spring.
Yeah, chosen day.
And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that we had so many starts and stops,
Yes.
so many breakups and get backs together
Yep.
that we didn't know when our anniversary really was.
Yeah. We and this is our 1+9 year anniversary as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Because of the starts and stops, there was a lot in our first year.
Yep.
So much so that we went on like a 7 year break.
Yep. So we
Then,
started, we connected and fell in love and struggled like crazy
hmm.
in a lot of ups and downs, roller coaster kind of relationship back in 2008.
Yep.
And then Cal insisted that it was impossible for us to work because we
Yeah.
were too different,
Yeah.
definitely
We
incompatible.
wanted to be on like literal opposite coasts of the country.
Yep. And he
There's no way.
just, I'm all like, if there's a will, there's a way. Like I know I want to be with you. I will find a way. And he was not able to receive that because of his past stuff.
Yep.
He was afraid that I would regret that and blame him for it.
Yes.
So he like was like, no, no, not gonna happen. And it was the one of the most torturous years of my life
Mm.
to want to know that I want this relationship so much. And but for the relationship to feel so challenging and painful and like and I was like felt unwanted by him.
Yeah, I get
Uh
that.
yeah.
But yeah, I was a much different person then also
Yeah.
in basically every way
Yeah.
and wasn't very accountable to my own stuff.
I mean, it felt like we were
Neither
like
one of us were.
late 20s, but we were still babies.
Yeah,
Um,
there's so much I didn't know that I thought I knew.
mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but yeah,
So
no regrets, I guess.
no, no. So we wanted to share our story today because I think it's really, we post a lot about our relationship and what's possible for others and how we help others, but we've never actually come online and publicly shared our story.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to take a minute on our very special anniversary today to do that.
Yeah,
Um, so as we're, like Cal shared, it was a rocky beginning, right? He and I were really different. We fought a lot.
yeah.
I
There's a lot of conflict, a lot of finger pointing.
Yeah, I feel like the only thing that we could like do well was sex.
TMI.
No,
But
honey.
probably.
People, we need to talk. We need to have these
Yeah,
conversations and be real about our relationships.
sure.
But like if we weren't in the bedroom, we were probably not having very much fun together.
Mm.
I just wanted his love and he didn't know what to do with all of my feelings, and so my feelings were often hurt
Mm-hmm.
and he was often feeling not good enough, and I
Yep.
would want to like work on things and talk about things, and but it felt like a tax for him, and
Yeah.
so he'd shut down sometimes for days.
Yeah, for days. And sometimes I'd not want to be around you, even though we were, for a while, living on opposite sides of the country.
Yeah. Well, that was later. That was a 2.0. I'm still talking 1.0.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, we have like chapters, phases of our
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
So, yeah, back in 1.0.
But yeah,
And also like um shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Anyways, we were
I don't know where
messy.
you were going.
We were messy. It was hard.
Yeah.
And eventually like Cal called it, um and we met other people and then married other people, and
Mm-hmm.
um his his partner did not felt really threatened by me, and so we kind of lost contact with one another for most of the 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And And then one day out of the blue, Cal reached out to me and shared just like that he had remembered something about our past, and that started a conversation between us. And because um I was going through the kind of coming out, opening up phase of my marriage at the time, where I um around being polyamorous. So you can tell this is we're not scripted here. I'm like just stumbling over
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I didn't think we were gonna go like all
Well,
that deep into it.
I mean, I was like, well, we're gonna go where the spirit takes us,
Okay.
or me, because I'm the
How long
talker.
have we doing?
You feeling self-conscious about how long we're online?
Kind of.
Oh, we will. It's gonna take the time that it takes to tell our story.
Okay. I
But
didn't know we were
but
getting into all
you
the
want me? Do you
details.
want me to go faster? What would feel good for you, baby, on our anniversary today?
Yeah. I thought we were just gonna hit
The highlights.
and
Okay,
go enjoy the
highlights.
sunshine.
There's so much detail. It's a big story.
It
As
really
I'm
is.
sure as I'm sure that you like probably understand, because in your lives too, your relationships, there's like a big story. There's a lot of context.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it
all
could
right.
take an hour to tell the
I
story.
mean,
I just
I'm
didn't
not
know.
gonna
I'm
take a
sorry.
whole
I
hour.
didn't mean to derail it, y'all. I was just checking in, I guess.
All right, so I'll try to like speed things up. Anyways, so we reconnected around being polyamorous because I was going through it and shared with him that I was polyam, and
Mhm.
he's like, I think I'm polyam too. And that kind
I
of
think I've
started
always been,
right,
and yeah, yep,
started our journey.
yes.
And what's interesting though is that like it so this is 2.0. This is like the 7 year later, this is our relationship 2.0.
Mhm.
During that phase, I had gotten like my master's and my PhD in couple and family therapy. It was like in a private practice. I think I started my group practice. And so like I was an expert in relationships, right? It's my jam. It's always been my jam, but like it was my super jam. I had like the papers to prove it. And yet we still could not figure it out, right? Like it was bad, maybe even worse in 2.0 than 1.0, because there was so much more on the table,
Mhm.
right? Like we had these other relationships, you had a kid and more kids on the way.
Mhm.
Like I was gonna move from coast to like from the east coast to the west coast to be closer to him and bring my whole
Yeah,
family, and
but
that
like,
felt really intense.
yeah, it was just hard to even, the few times we could be together, it was really hard to even want to
Mm-hmm.
because our conflict was so, it's just, we were just, it felt so incompatible.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
I remember you
hard.
telling me how much like being around you drained your energy.
Yeah, I felt like I was being bled and not fed by a relationship.
That was a really hard thing to hear.
Yeah, and it was really hard to say. It was really hard to have that experience and like want something different because like we rarely got to see each other. And
Especially after I moved out here, like I was finally close to him. I wanted to be able to see him and spend time with me, and then often he didn't even want to
mhm,
because it was so draining. It was
yeah,
so hard. It was like drama and fighting all the time.
mhm,
Every like the littlest thing would trigger me, and then he'd be like upset because, oh no, here we go again, and then he'd withdraw, and then I'd get frustrated because he was withdrawing,
yeah,
and then like I try to engage him and try to fix it because I can't stand when things are tense between us.
mhm.
We got to fix the problems right away.
And I feel like too angry or overwhelmed by it that like I wasn't in a place to be able to show up
Yeah.
without getting that everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I just know that if I didn't have time to calm down and be in connection with like what I actually want to say and who I actually want to be, that having a conversation would could just do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have really good relationships modeled to me as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
so I just knew I didn't want to be yelling and angry when
Mm-hmm.
I had these type of conversations. But yeah, that meant that I avoided talking about it for days sometimes.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like we didn't even talk about it at all
Yeah,
because
sometimes it was just like, yeah, let's wait for it to
blow
just
over.
blow over and avoid the topic.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that like
We're not the only ones. I know that for sure.
Right. Well, and like I think there wasn't trust between us that trying to talk about it would go anywhere,
Oh yeah,
especially for you, right? Like I wanted to fix things and I didn't care how long it took or how much we had to fight to fix things. But for you, like the idea of spending even more energy when
yeah,
you
it's
were,
exhausting.
yeah. And so you didn't even want to. I heard that a lot. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to have this conversation. I don't want to see you. I don't want to do this thing. I don't want to. Um, and it felt just like constant rejection. It was so hard.
Yeah, understandable.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
But so how did we get here? Because like it is not like that anymore. And it is because we went through that like such a huge transformation that we're doing this work, right?
right.
Like it really,
I think. Well, sorry, I was just gonna go right into the answering
yeah,
the
go
question
ahead. Go for
of
it,
like
babe.
what changed,
Yeah, what changed? How did we do this?
and that would be we stopped pointing fingers of blame at each other,
Mm-hmm.
and because for me that was the hard thing, is to feel like I was the one who was the problem and who was screwing up, because like Dr. PhD over here is like, I
I
know
thought he
how to
was
do
the problem.
relationships, and like, yeah,
if you if
if
he
you
could just listen to me and do the things
just
that I was saying.
yeah, if you, and it was really hard because like
Mhm.
I didn't feel like there was a lot of space, and I think also I wasn't able to always identify um like what didn't feel good,
Mhm.
and her accountability and what wasn't working about a relationship. And so I think when we just both started to own our shit, started
Mhm.
to be accountable for like the ways we were showing up in like unhelpful in our
Mhm.
relationship, was when things started to change.
Mhm. And for me, as much as I learned in school, and as helpful as that's been in the work that we do with couples, like I learned so much, maybe more even from Cal. And it was because of the challenges that I learned those things and learned to like that the book learning in school, it works for people like the cis het white men who created most of the theories, right? Like it doesn't take, nobody's talking about accountability. Nobody's talking about the way that like each partner's own stuff, their own nervous systems, their own histories, their own stories, their own
Reactions.
reactions, their unhealed parts, their expectations about how things should be, right? Like how all of that affects how a relationship goes. And I absolutely like had expectations that he was supposed to be different and more like me, not taking into account my areas like my intersections of privilege and power, not taking into account the ways that he was different, the differences in skills and practice and life experiences that affected like whether he was able to show up in the way that I was. And even more than just like his experience, it's like nobody had ever taught me to look at the way that how I was acting was affecting his experience of the relationship. Like he's obviously been super able to step up and do the things that I do, sometimes even better, but like not until it was safe for him to practice those things,
Yeah.
not until he felt actually loved and cared about for once in his life and accepted fully for who he was and like he was enough as he was. And the more that I was like in my head about how he was the problem,
Mhm.
the more he was in resistance
Mhm.
to like showing up and trying to help be part of the change. So it really like there's just like Cal said, we could probably talk for over an hour about all of this in our
Yeah,
in our story.
yeah, we definitely have. So
But the point is like we turned things around because we first were committed to doing this. We'd been through enough versions of together and apart to know that apart isn't what we wanted, and we're both stubborn.
yep,
um
sometimes.
but and like I think we just really stumbled through into this awareness that when I started like stepping up and focusing on how I could help him be successful rather than make him feel like a piece of crap, um, he started like stepping in to our relationship in a more powerful way, and that gave him more energy, and it made things easier, and it was, tough for a while, but not as long as you would imagine,
No.
right? Like 2.0
Especially
was
when we kind of like actually figured, like
when we named it.
realized
Yeah,
and
we had that awareness.
took a moment to like really think about what was making us successful.
Yeah,
And
and
I think that's when it really started changing, like more intentionally.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
More often.
yeah, and so that is just like really accelerated from there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got back together in what, 2015?
15.
And then I think like the struggles went until about 2017, with like 2 more years of like struggling hard before we started to figure it out. And then since then, like, it's been so good,
Awesome.
so easy, so fulfilling. I mean, not perfect. I don't know that any relationship is perfect, and it feels really important to us to like
Normalize.
yes, like that you can have an extraordinary relationship. It can be easy. You can be super happy and satisfied, and still have times where
You have some contrast.
yeah, where you feel like you want to run away or break up or you don't like that person.
It's like a cloud on a sunny day.
Yes, it comes and it goes, my
Mhm.
friends. So when things turned around and we made it through like a whole year of things being good, I like celebrated in my heart. And so ironically, springtime, it was like after springtime seemed to be when we break up the most. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't.
But it was like I was aware, like, oh shit, it's spring.
No.
We like struggled through the winter. And now
I think a lot of things change in spring for people. It's
yeah.
probably the most depressive time for people, like struggling with depression. Springtime,
Yeah.
hardest.
Which is interesting because you'd think winter would be.
But we get energized by the sun, and then we want to just start like doing something to change what's happening. Like
Yeah.
change the dull
Yeah.
winter vibe.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I chose the first day of spring as our anniversary. And I wrote Cal this cute little romantic letter about why I was picking that day. Do you remember my letter?
My memory isn't very good.
I know.
Sometimes.
I know. Well, I did.
I believe you.
Yeah.
And
So
I believe I also was really resonant. Spring's my favorite season. So I know it was also really resonant for me.
yeah, it's the time of new beginnings. And it like when we made it through from one spring to the next spring without breaking up, I was like, this is real now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this. And so now every first day of spring, we get to celebrate not just the turning of the seasons, but the success we found in our relationship, the love that we get to enjoy.
1 + 9.
1 + 9 years.
Mhm.
That's how long. So we count like chapter one and then
The first year really counts.
it does. It has to like that was our springboard.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in to our story. Happy first day of spring. I'm sure we'll be posting pictures of our anniversary excursions and celebrations. Thanks for being a part of our lives and our community. And if you or someone you know is struggling in their relationship, first of all, know that there's hope.
Yeah.
Like if you would have told Cal anytime like 7 years and longer ago that he would end up doing relationship coaching with me when he didn't even want to have relationship conversations with me.
There's no way I'd believe you.
No, impossible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe it either.
Yeah.
Like and yet here we are. It's like it's amazing what's really possible. So trust the unfolding of life. Know that you can realize your dreams and transform your relationship, and that we're here to support you. And like
love to.
we have a process and a program that works and works way faster than the time we had to take to figure it out. So
Yeah.
like accelerate all of the trial and error that we
Yeah.
did once
Yeah.
upon a time.
Hurry up and get to the good stuff.
Yes. Hurry up and get to the good stuff. Summer's coming. Let's all have a great summer.
Yeah. And beyond.
Thanks, y'all.